Lynn. Welcome to Cooking with Lynne, baking again in my kitchen for the Cumberland Library. I hope you're enjoying the videos. I've done quite a few now, but if this is your first time, I've been cooking for the Cumberland Library since the pandemic started, and we started doing virtual programming, and still doing them, so I hope you're enjoying them. Check out the other ones that we've done in the past, and welcome. Alright, so today I am baking French toast casserole, French toast bread pudding, kind of all the same thing. Some people call it baked French toast or overnight French toast, because some people will soak the bread in the custard overnight. So basically what it is, a bread pudding, if you've ever made it before, is bread soaked in a custard flavored with different things. There's lots of things you can do. You can make it really sweet, put chocolate in it, chocolate chips, cocoa powder mixture, and make the whole thing chocolate. Put raisins, you can put nuts, you can put a coating on top, like a crumble kind of thing. So lots and lots of variations. This is kind of basic. I got some cinnamon and some nutmeg going in, and it's pretty easy. So, and this is good for a brunch or just breakfast, with a quick and easy breakfast. Sweeten it up more, or put whipped cream on it, or ice cream, and call it dessert. So there's lots of things you can do. So what I did was, I've got my casserole dish. This is a 9x13. Excuse the massive bruise there. I fell. I'm a person who falls now. Yeah, so I just sprayed it. It's 9x13. I've got a pan larger than that in the oven. I'm going to put hot water in it. It's going to act as a water bath, or a bain-marie, if you want to get fancy. And that just helps to keep it moist and cook evenly. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that's how I'm doing mine. So you would have a larger pan and fill it up about 1 inch with hot water. So that's all that is. A little fancy. So bread pudding, obviously bread. You want it to be a hearty bread or a stale bread. So you really don't want to use white bread. You want to use, if you do have to use, or you're going to use white bread, leave it out and let it get a little stale. I know that sounds strange. You can use French bread, Italian bread. My sister makes great bread pudding, and she used to throw donuts in there, all kind of things. You can really get a little bit creative with it. My son made a delicious one with brioche, and he made the brioche because he's a baker now. I've got brioche here. You can use challah, also is a good thing. This is slightly sweet, so it's going to add some sweetness to it on its own. I got this loaf here. I'm not sure if it was going to be enough, so I grabbed some French bread to add to it. So I'm going to start by cutting up the French bread a little bit, just so I have a little bit extra. So I really want to fill that pan up. So I'm just going to cut this up a little bit. Try not to make a mess. It would help if I had a knife. I did it to myself again. If you've watched my videos, you know I always forget something. So, you know, might as well keep up the tradition. Cut it kind of thick. You want big chunky, you don't want little tiny pieces of bread. You want big chunky bread. That should probably be enough. I'm going to just cut it in half. Try not to cut myself. So simple, simple. This is perfect if you've got stale bread and you don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to cut these in half. And it's okay to add, you know, different varieties of bread. It doesn't all have to be the same. If you've got half a French loaf left, or you can see me. You know, if you've got leftover bread and not sure what to do with it, make bread pudding. You know, here in New England in the winter, there's a snowstorm. Oh my God, bread and milk, bread and milk. Well, if you end up where you don't lose power and you've got all this bread and milk, there you go, bread pudding. Make some bread pudding. So that's cut up fine. You don't need to cut it up any more than that. Or you can if you want to, but don't cut it up too small. All right, enough talking. I'm just gonna stick that aside. So now we're going to make the custard, which is eggs. So I should probably tell you what you need. The recipe will be posted here too. So I'm using half and half. I need 5 cups. I need a little pinch of salt, a I'm going to put a little bit of orange zest in there, honey, vanilla, 8 eggs, and a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg. And then at the end, you can put some maple syrup over it. You can just dust it with powdered sugar. And you can, like I said, add other things, nuts, chocolate chips, raisins, whatever you want. So let's get started with the eggs. Egg mishaps. I'm gonna have to go grab 2 more eggs. Making a mess already. I'm a messy baker. In case you don't know. Grabbing 2 more eggs. Okay. It's all good. Why do I make a mess? Alright. Okay, and now I'm going to add my 5 cups of half and half. You can use milk, don't use skim milk. I mean, it's a little decadent, so let's just go with it. You know, don't try to be too fussy with the diet when you're making this. I should just pour this whole thing in. But I'm going to measure it anyway. 2. Yeah, I knew it was going to be 4. I mean, come on. Silly. Just pour the whole thing. It's good to be accurate. So you can do a combination of half and half and milk. You don't have to do all half and half. You can do some heavy cream and some milk. So there's 5. All right. And now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of honey. Sweeten it up a little bit. I'm going to take this right off because it's much faster. This is not one of those baking situations where, you know, when you're making a cake and everything's got to be super accurate and measured and whatever. This is, you know, you can add more if you want it a little sweeter. If you don't have honey, you could add the maple syrup right in there and start that maple flavor going on right away. This is very sticky. And a pinch of salt, probably a little more than that. Wasn't quite a pinch. And some vanilla. A teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of cinnamon. Not like that. Wipe that off. You can add more. If you don't like it, leave it out. Oh, okay. Really? What is wrong with me? Oh my God. I started having a little bit of trouble with the laptop, with the camera and everything, and then I got all kind of flustered. So if I seem flustered, that's why. Because, like I said, I'm alone. I'm just putting like a large pinch of nutmeg. Nutmeg can be a little overpowering, so don't go too crazy. And a little bit of orange zest. Just about, I don't know, a teaspoon, or you can leave this out too. This, leave a lemon zest if you want instead. Just adds a little something in there. You know, you don't even sometimes know what it is, but it's like, oh, that's yummy. All right. And we're gonna just whisk this all together. Get all those eggs broken up, incorporate everything together. Maybe, probably would have been a good idea to break up the eggs first so I could make sure they were all broken up, but, you know, it's all good. Try not to get it everywhere. I forgot to put my apron on. Gotta go to work after this. Alright, I think we're all incorporated. Smells good. Smell that cinnamon. Now we're just going to get all this in here and let it soak up all that the yumminess. Push it down in there. Get your hands messy. So I've got my oven preheated to 350. And it takes a while to bake, so allow yourself some time. Let's just push that down in there. Just make sure all the bread is soaked with that yummy custard. Just get it all down in there. I may have over breaded. That's alright. As long as everything can be coated. So you would use 1 loaf of bread, 1 Italian bread, one challah bread. So, just one of whatever. And using different kinds can be good too. You get different textures. So that's all in there. I'm going to leave that for 10 minutes and let it soak. Now, some people, you'll see recipes that want you to soak that overnight. Not really necessary, but if you want to do that too, you can do that and just put it in the pan and bake it off the next day. That works good too, and that way it's fresh and hot in the morning. But I'm going to pause and let that soak for 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. So I'm left with just my thing here. I cleaned up while you were gone. Got my pan, which I sprayed, and our bread has soaked up. In just that 10 minutes, it's soaked up a lot of the custard. You can leave it longer. It wouldn't hurt it if you kept it longer. If you're going to keep it for, a couple hours or whatever, or overnight, obviously put it in the fridge. But it just sat here and soaked up all that yummy goodness. You can see the cinnamon and the orange. I'm just going to pour it in. And because I put all my utensils over there, I'm going to use my hands, flatten it out a little bit. Sometimes I'm not as well prepared as I would like. Anyway, no harm done. It's going to keep soaking up that custard in the oven. Like I said, I'm going to put it in a water bath. So again, a slightly bigger pan with some hot water about 1 inch up, just to help it to cook evenly. And I'm also going to cover it with foil. I'm going to bake it for 45 minutes with the foil, and then I'm going to take the foil off and bake it for another 45. At the end of that, keep an eye on it though, because the stuff that's sticking up on the top could get a little bit too overcooked, overbaked, but you do want the top to be a little bit crunchy and crispy, so you get that crunchiness, and you also get that soft, the part that's underneath is all soft and delicious. So just keep an eye on it at the end, but I'm going to put it in the oven and I'll check back with you in a little bit. All right, I'm back. It came out of the oven. It came out beautiful, and like I said about watching it, at the end it did not take 1 hour and 45 minutes, so it was 45 minutes covered, and take the cover off and then leave it. It was supposed to be another 45 minutes, but everybody's oven is different, and it actually only took about 35 minutes, maybe a little bit less. So just keep an eye on it, and you'll test it with a toothpick just like you would a cake. So poke it and make sure that it's cooked through. So it came out lovely, a little golden brown. If you wanted it a little crispier on the top, you could leave it in a little bit longer. Just keep an eye on it because you don't want it burnt, obviously. It's a little squishy, but a little crunchy. And I am going to cut a piece. I don't know why I did that. Switch oven mitts. So I'm gonna take a little piece, and hopefully it comes out. Oh, look at that, perfect. Still really, really, really hot. I can smell the orange and the cinnamon. It looks lovely. And I'm gonna dust it with a little powdered sugar. I'll dust the whole thing, but I'll dust my piece. So pretty and yummy. And of course, French toast is nothing without some maple syrup. Let's add some more sugar. Why not? There you go. I would take a bite, but it's super hot. But you can see it's a little jiggly. which is how it's supposed to be because it's a custard. It's lovely and delicious. I hope you give it a try. Again, one of those things you can do lots of variations. Put some nuts, put some raisins, put some chocolate chips, leave out the cinnamon, whatever you want to do with it. Basically, it's the bread and the custard, and then you can make it your own from there. So give it a try. Serve it for breakfast, serve it for dessert. Either way, it's all good. Check me out again in October. I'm doing tomato soup with grilled cheese. You know, a little bit kicked up there. Some homemade tomato soup, not from the can. And then I'm doing pumpkin bars with cream cheese frosting, so more baking. Come back and see me. Check out the library's other programs. Lots of good stuff going on in the fall, and I'll see you soon.